The morning started easy, the kind that made everything feel set in place. Cool mountain air filled my lungs, pine and sawdust still clinging to my shirt from yesterday's work. I just finished sanding a walnut desk for the local vet's office, and the shop still smelled of wood and oil, the honest kind of labor that leaves your knuckles sore in a good way. After breakfast, Ellie packed me black coffee in a thermos and shot me a look about not wasting time chasing raccoons again. She knows I lose track of time in the woods. I loaded the ATV and headed north, through the pines and past the old stream bed, meaning to check boundary markers. Last year we had squatters sneak in, and I like to keep things buttoned down. That's when I saw it. At first it looked like sunlight through the trees, something glassy and out of place. But as I got closer, my stomach dropped. A house. Not a shack or cabin, an actual luxury cottage, complete with wraparound deck and oversized windows. Fresh sawdust still on the porch, windows untouched. Built recently, built quietly, and sitting smack in the middle of my land. I pulled up the GPS overlays I keep saved. No mistake. Every parcel line confirmed it, still my property. Whoever built this either screwed up bad or was trying something slick. But I've been here 20 years. I've seen boundary scams, fences cut, even someone trying to build a toilet on my lot. One lesson stuck: handle it fast, clean, and with proof. So I called Ellie, not the county clerk. She's my second brain and, with her paralegal training, treats our land like a fortress. Within the hour, she was flying the drone while I stood on camera with my deeds and maps, laying out the facts plain and clear. If I was wrong, I'd own it. But I wasn't. Next, I called Joe and Tom. Joe's a mechanic with forearms like tree trunks. Tom's a retired safety inspector, Army vet, calm as bedrock. Bring the machines, I told them. By late afternoon, 2 excavators were climbing the trail. We got to work. Tom nudged the deck in, Joe pulled the back wall clean. No chaos, just surgical demolition. Ellie circled overhead with a drone, capturing every angle while I narrated. No permits, no rights, no notice. Trespass, plain and simple. The house came down beam by beam, glass cracking, dust rising. I sipped Ellie's coffee and watched it collapse. Then I heard the car, too smooth for this road. A white Porsche. A woman stepped out in a tailored pantsuit and heels, all sharp edges and money. Platinum bob, designer bag, sunglasses that didn't belong in the woods. She looked at the ruins, then at me. What the hell is going on here? I took another sip, slow as ever. Afternoon. You lost. Lost? That's my house. Joe cut the excavator and leaned out like he was watching primetime TV. Tom kept his machine frozen midair, bucket hanging like a giant shrug. I walked toward her slow, no menace, hard to look threatening in flannel and work boots. Ma'am, hate to say it, but that house sits square on my land. No permits. No notice. No contact. I checked this morning and made the call. She slid off her sunglasses like that proved something. Karen Whitmore, president of the Elk Hollow HOA. I have every right to build here. I exhaled. Karen, HOA authority stops at the property line. This mountain's been mine 20 years. You're half a mile outside your jurisdiction. Take it up with your surveyor. She stormed toward the machines, arms flying. Stop this right now. You're destroying private property. That's a felony. I blocked her path. Too late for that. Stand back before a beam lands on those shoes. Also, everything you're saying is on drone footage. Keep pushing, and you'll be trespassing too. Her voice cracked into a shriek. Do you know how much this cost? That was custom designed. You're going to jail. Ellie, join me, phone steady in her hands. Call your lawyer. And double-check your title. We've got GPS overlays, parcel IDs, time-stamped aerial footage. If you want a court fight, we're better stacked. Karen faltered, glaring at Ellie, then whipped out her phone and barked orders into it. Get up here now. She paced beside her luxury SUV, waving her arms like an angry conductor. Tom asked if we should pause. I shook my head. Keep going. Let her make the next move. The machines kept peeling back beams while Ellie zoomed in on Karen's tantrum. Joe muttered, "Who builds a mansion on another man's dirt and acts shocked when it gets knocked down?" "Confident types," I said. "And litigious ones. Document everything." 15 minutes later, another engine growled up the trail. a black Tahoe with tinted windows. Doors swung open, and 3 men stepped out. One tall, mid-40s, square-jawed in a leather jacket. One bulkier, built like a hired brawler. And the driver, salt and pepper hair, country club confidence. Karen's husband, no doubt. Karen bolted from her SUV. They're still doing it. They're demolishing my house. Her husband squared his jaw, eyes narrowing at me. You think you can destroy private property and walk away? I own this land, I said evenly. And my patience is running out. The tall one didn't wait, pointed straight at me. This him? Karen nodded furiously. That's the lunatic. He assaulted me verbally and is tearing down our home. Next thing I knew, the tall guy shoved me hard in the chest. I stumbled back, gravel sliding under my boots. Joe was off the machine before I hit the ground, barreling between us. Tom followed, calm but solid, stepping in front of the other brute. Then it unraveled. Shoves, yelling, arms swinging more from ego than skill. Joe clamped a guy in a headlock. Tom blocked a punch like it was routine. I scrambled up and maybe landed one wild shot, or maybe just flailed lucky. Ellie never stopped filming, both drone and phone rolling. Cops are on their way, she shouted. 3 minutes, gentlemen. Karen screamed and filmed too, angling for her own narrative. Her husband stumbled near the rubble, and she zeroed in like she just won her case. Dust rose, curses flew, and Tom pressed the bulkier man against the half-collapsed railing. Take a breath, buddy. Then the sirens cut through the ridge. 3 sheriff's cruisers fishtailed into the clearing, lights blazing. Hands where we can see them. Everyone froze, panting, dirty, scraped up. I raised my hands. Joe was heaving like a bellows. Tom looked carved from stone. Karen pointed at us, shrill. They attacked us. They tore down our home. A deputy asked, any proof who started what? I've got it all on video, Karen snapped. Good, Ellie said calmly, stepping forward. So, do I compare footage? The officers separated us, took statements. Karen tried to dominate, but the deputies knew me. I'd repaired furniture for their office, built a bench for one guy's backyard. They weren't playing favorites, but they listened. The lead officer watched Ellie's drone footage, his face shifting from neutral to annoyed. He turned to Karen. Everyone's coming in for processing. Ambulance is en route if anyone needs it. Karen erupted. Her husband threatened lawsuits, but protocol was protocol. I sat on a rock, catching my breath. Ellie handed me water. You all right? I've had worse. She checked her drone battery. Still at 70%. Karen froze, as if the ground had been yanked from under her. The judge shifted toward me. Mr. Hartwell, do you have anything else to say? I kept my hand steady. Only this. I'm not in the business of tearing things apart. I build for a living. But when someone plants their house in my backyard, lies about it, attacks me and my friends, and then dumps their mess hoping I take the blame, well, sometimes you have to bring something down before it rots everything around it. The judge gave a single nod. We'll reconvene tomorrow for judgment. But given the evidence, I don't see this ending in the plaintiff's favor. We stepped out into the cold afternoon, quiet but worn down. Not victory yet, but close. Ellie slipped her hand into mine. You did good in there. So did you, I told her. Remind me to build you a new bookcase. I'd rather you build me a porch, she teased, turning away from HOA territory. The next morning we showed up early, not out of nerves, but because Ellie insisted on bringing coffee for our lawyer and a box of bear claws for the clerk. Car-based bribery, she joked. Still, tension twisted in my stomach. Winning an argument was one thing. Getting the judge to hand out real consequences was another. Karen arrived 15 minutes late. No oversized sunglasses, no scarf, no theatrics. Just her and her husband, both looking like they'd aged a decade since the last hearing. They didn't speak to anyone. Even their lawyer wouldn't meet their eyes. The judge walked in, flipped through her notes, and got straight to it. Based on the evidence presented, the testimonies given, and the lack of credible rebuttal by the plaintiff, this court finds in favor of Mr. Hartwell. I exhaled, only then realizing I'd been holding my breath. Ellie squeezed my hand under the table. The judge continued. The plaintiff is ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $350,000 to Mr. Hartwell. This includes damages to property, legal expenses, and compensation for defamation and the assault on June 10th. Karen gasped. Her husband muttered something inaudible and slumped lower. But the judge wasn't finished. This court also refers the matters of falsified documents, unauthorized construction, and attempted evidence tampering to the county district attorney's office for criminal investigation. The words hit like a hammer. Karen's jaw fell open. She shot to her feet before her lawyer could stop her. This is insane. He destroyed my house. Miss Whitmore, sit down, the judge ordered without blinking. But this is my HOA. I was trying to improve the community. This wasn't your land. This wasn't your right. And this is no longer your position. The judge turned to Ellie. Mrs. Hartwell, your clarity and thorough documentation were invaluable. Ellie just nodded, though I knew she was seconds away from smirking. We left beneath a gray sky that somehow felt like sunshine. The fallout came fast. By the end of the week, Karen was voted out as HOA president in an emergency session. Some board members had clearly been waiting for the chance. Her husband resigned from his law firm the same day, his name already scrubbed from their website. Even better, the county issued a formal notice. HOA jurisdiction ended at the road intersection, exactly as we'd said from the start. They even updated the zoning maps with a bold line separating Karen's kingdom from my forest. Then came the kicker. Tom received a letter from the county engineer's office, an official commendation for spotting a dangerous structure. They asked if he'd consider consulting on future rural violations. He said maybe, but only if he didn't have to wear a tie. Joe and I returned the excavators with a little send-off, nothing fancy, just beers, laughter, and one last slow drive through the trees. We left the site bare and clean, flattened earth, broken stone, and a single plank Ellie had nailed into a pine. It read, "Private property means private." A week later, Karen was arrested. Charges: falsifying property records, illegal dumping, filing a false EPA complaint, and initiating a physical altercation. Her husband was charged too, unpermitted construction and obstruction. The hired muscle faced assault charges. I didn't bother going to the arraignment. Ellie and I stayed home, splitting firewood and watching the sun sink behind a ridge. One by one, neighbors began showing up. People I hadn't spoken to in months brought beer, pies, offers to help on the land. Even a few HOA members came, shaking my hand and saying, "We never liked her either, just didn't know how to say it." Ellie's inbox started filling with emails from across the state, people who'd seen the drone footage, read the court filings, and wanted to know how she documented it all so well. Most she ignored, but one from a local journalist made her grin. "They want to do a feature," she said over tea. "Something like the HOA that went too far. You going to say yes?" I asked. "Maybe," she said, "but only if I get to title it How to Remove Illegal Construction in One Afternoon." A month later, we held a party. Not with speeches or banners, just a bonfire, coolers full of beer and lemonade, and laughter echoing through the clearing where the cottage once stood. Tom brought ribs. Joe grilled sausages until the smoke stung our eyes, and Ellie baked a berry pie that vanished before I even saw it. The fire pit sat right in the middle of the clearing. It felt symbolic, as if we'd burned the last of the arrogance out of the dirt. Neighbors came, ours, and even some from the HOA side. No drama, no politics, just people sharing food and fire. One older man with a huge mustache shook my hand and said, "You're the reason I finally built a fence." Around midnight, Ellie raised her glass. "To standing your ground," she said, "and making sure no one builds on it but you." We all drank to that. And in the distance, the mountain stayed quiet, like it finally approved.